guys, I'm Mary. I run the website Leather Beast and I teach people how to make and sell their leather goods. Welcome everyone. Thanks for joining me today. Today I'm talking about something that I think is really exciting, and it's also something that I see a lot of people have problems with when they first get started selling their leather goods, and that is pricing. And specifically underpricing your leather goods, and why that is a bigger problem than you might think. Before we dive in, I just want to tell you, if you are watching this live, feel free to comment, tell us what you're up to. If you have any pricing questions or concerns of your own, drop them in the comments and we'll have a little Q&A after this. If you're watching it on the replay, you can still drop your comments into the comments section and we'll have a little discussion. It'll be fun. And then before we dive into the topic today, I just want to remind you, there's a link in the description. It's for lucrative leather craft, and that's where I have this awesome freebie that I made. It's a checklist of the steps, actually the steps that I use in my own leather goods business for how I kind of roll out a new product, or even just what I do after the launch to kind of sustain and keep the sales going. So that's in the link in the description if you're interested in that. So let's talk about pricing and how underpricing can be a bigger problem than you think. So there's a lot of different reasons why you might be underpricing, and I totally understand all of them. One of those reasons might be just the fear that nobody's going to buy your leather good at the full value of what you actually think it's worth, right? So we're not talking about trying to overprice your products and sell them more than what they're worth, or specifically talking about so you have this weird little leather good here and you think it's worth one thing, but you're pricing it, you know, $10, $20, $30 lower than that just because you don't think that people are going to buy it. So that's one reason, just kind of like the fear of pricing it for what it's worth. Or you might think, I've done this before, you might think, well, I'll keep them low now and then later on I'll raise them. It'll be fine. Nobody will care. Or you just might not be thinking about the big picture of your business. You might not really be thinking of your leather goods business as an actual business. So you're not really thinking about what it takes to create a sustainable business. And by a sustainable business, I just mean one where you have enough money coming in, where you have enough profit coming in from your sales that you're able to reinvest that into things that you might need to grow, like maybe more tools, or maybe you need to hire someone, or maybe just additional materials. Maybe you want to purchase in bulk and save money, but that requires money up front. You need profits coming in from your sales in order to do that. Otherwise, you're dipping into your own personal funds, and unless you're, you know, a bajillionaire, that's not really a way to run a business if you're constantly having to self-fund it. Of course, there is some of that you have to do up front, but you always want to be working towards, okay, how much of a profit am I making off of this product? And then kind of thinking about how you're going to use those profits in your business to grow or do the things that you want to do with your business. So let's talk about why these things are kind of a bigger problem. So when you price your products lower than you actually think the actual value is, out of fear or whatever, you're sending a message to, hey Parker, thanks. You're sending a message to your customer that you don't really think your product is worth the value that it actually is. You're sending a message to them kind of saying that this product might not be as worth it as your competitor's product just because the price is lower. You know, maybe this has happened to you. You walk into a store and you see two competing brands and you look at it, and unless it's something where you can like look at the ingredients and you can tell they're exactly alike, you're probably going to go for the more expensive one just because you think, well, this is probably made better, it's a higher price, so it must be worth more. So You don't want to send that message to your customer that since the price is low, that the quality is low, or the materials that you're using is low. You want to just really be clear with your pricing. Price it for the actual value, so that you're not giving that wrong message to your customers. Reason number 2, got my notes here. So to price your products low at the beginning and then higher later on. So that might seem like an okay strategy. It might work for some people, but the way I see it is when you're doing that, so you have this thing, you're pricing it for one product or one price, and you're attracting customers that are attracted to low-priced leather goods. They're attracted to this leather good, and especially since it's a low price. That's one type of customer. If you double this price and price it for what it's actually worth, you know, a year later, 6 months later, you're not going to be attracting those customers anymore. You're going to have to go out and rebuild your audience and find the customers that are actually willing to pay for this leather good. They're out there, but you're going to have to spend more time rebuilding your audience. So it makes more sense to me to price it for the value from the get-go and just build that audience that is willing to pay a higher price for a more valuable product. But you don't want to be building an audience twice, or you don't want to be targeting the wrong group of people that aren't actually going to value your work the way it should be valued. So that's another reason why you don't want to be building the wrong target audience. You want to be building that group of people from the get-go that's going to buy your products for what they're worth. And then the last point I want to make is that it's just not really sustainable, right? If you have a handbag that took you 5 or 10 hours to make and you're selling it for $100, that's not sustainable, because that's not really, you're not going to be breaking even on your materials costs, on your labor costs. And even if you might be thinking, well, I'm selling them, I'm selling out of them, it doesn't matter, because you're never going to make the profit off of them that you need to create a sustainable business. So that's when profit margins come into place, because you need to have some sort of a profit margin in your products so that you can build the business, so that you can keep creating these leather goods that you love making and that people love. So instead, you really need to take into consideration your actual labor costs, your actual materials costs. I actually have a blog post that I did a couple weeks ago, maybe a couple months ago. If you go to Leather Beast, it's in there, but it talks about the 2 main pricing formulas, using wholesale, using retail. And you want to start there. It's not an exact science, because of course these are just formulas and there's a lot of other different factors that go into place. But at least at that point, you have your basic costs covered and your basic business expenses covered. And then from there, you can tweak the formulas, you can kind of tweak the amount that you actually are charging for retail or wholesale, and take it from there. And then you also need to know what kind of a customer you are selling to as well, right? Because like I said before, there's customers who are attracted to low-priced goods, and there's customers who are attracted to high-priced goods, So are you at one of those extremes? Are you somewhere in the middle? That's why it's so important to know who your customer is and who you are targeting to buy your goods, because you don't want to be targeting the low-priced people with the high-priced items. So you have to know these things, and I also did a blog post on that a while back ago about finding your ideal customer. And by ideal, I mean someone who loves what you do and has the money to pay for it and is willing to pay for it. So that's it. Price your products for what you think they're worth, using actual numbers, using the thoughts that you have about your business and where you want it to go, if you want it to be a small sustainable business or a really big business. You know, these things all have to go into that price factor. If you want to learn more about other things about running your own business, you know, pricing is just the tip of the iceberg. There's marketing, there's creating your sales descriptions and titles, there's SEO, there's all of these things, setting up, if you're very new, setting up a new business, when to use Etsy, when to use Shopify, when to use something else. If you want help with that, click that link in the description for Lucrative Leather Craft. There's a checklist there, and then that also puts you on my list for whenever I have more business-related materials coming out. So if you're interested in hearing about those, just make sure you're on that list. I do have something new coming out in a couple of weeks, so I'm excited to share that with you guys. And if there's any questions now or later, post them in the comments and we can chat about it. Even if it's a specific question you want me to look at your pricing, I'd be happy to. You can also email me at info@leatherbeast. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.